We're going to use a couple of blankets today, and for those of you who might have yoga blocks at home, you could use those as well. And if you don't, we'll be using a couple more blankets. Well, the more the merrier, really, with when it comes to blankets. Maybe if you grabbed like a couple blankets, then you could grab a couple of hand towels that we'll use as like, we can fold them or roll them tight and use them in place of blocks for this practice. So my intention is to offer an experience for you today. So that means that you have complete choice whether or not you do exactly what it is I'm doing here, exactly as I say, or choose other options, or opt out completely and just lay there listening to the soothing sounds of my voice. It's completely up to you. So whatever your body needs today. If you do leave your camera on or choose to turn it on, I'll take that as an indication that you're okay with me giving verbal assists. And again, keeping it off is just as wonderful. You'll get whatever it is you need out of the class either way. So, of course, if you need to leave, get yourself water, get situated however you need to, please feel free. If you're gonna leave the class altogether, maybe just shoot me a little private message in the chat so I don't have to worry. And lastly, go ahead and make your space your own. So light some candles if you like to. Open the windows if it's not snowing where you are. I pre-apologize because my headset was stepped on by my eldest daughter. So if my microphone's a little wonky today or the sound is a little wonky, a new one is on its way, rest assured. Okay, so let's get started. I would really love to do some work along the upper chest and back today, mostly because a lot of us are spending our times situated on a computer, and as we move more and more inside, you know, there's always the opportunity this time of year to get little coughs and colds and so on. So I want to, the freer and the more open that space can be, the more available that our tissues will be for that to move through it. So I'm going to start with these two blankets, and I'm sitting sideways just for demonstration purposes, but I'm going to stack them like they are. So I've got one, they're sort of folded the same and quite high, and I've got one on the bottom about maybe one hand width in front of the one on top. So I'm going to bring myself to sit on the one on top. Let me bring this a little closer to me. And as I do, I'm really going to stick my butt up in the air to come down. And that's going to help me to find right up on the part of my upper leg where it becomes or touches my bottom of my seat. So I'll get myself situated there. Legs can be straight, they can be crossed, feet together, knees open, yogi's choice, as they say. Then I'm going to lean forward again and pull on those fleshy bits of my seat to even further intend my seat up on the top of the mountain and my sitting bones up on the top of the mountain, but my pelvis is almost in a ski slope shape, like I'm going downwards. And then here, you could use your small hand towels or your rolled blankets, or if you have them, you could use blocks, and they can fill the space beneath your thighs so that our legs don't have to do too much work. And we really don't want the sensation too much in that hip joint where like the leg plugs into the hip. I'm more focused on the front of the hip flexors. So mobilizing your the bowl of the pelvis. And so here, it can be beneficial if you're sitting facing wall and you can actually pin your hands on the wall to like really keep as much of your upper body still as possible. But I want you to visualize the space from your belly button to the base of your pubis and then like hip bone to hip bone. And that whole space kind of shaped like a bowl, front to back and downwards, kind of shaped like a bowl. And using the crease of your hips, right where the leg plugs into the hip socket, I want you to imagine spilling that bowl forward to the floor in front of you, and then really pull those hip creases together and spill the bowl back behind you. So the rest of my body might follow along, spilling forward, spilling back, but I'm really working hard to kind of move from this crease at the front of my leg here. So I'm mobilizing, trying to break up any adhesions in the day. And your shape might move a lot. It might just move a teeny tiny bit, but it's basically a rusty door hinge. And you've got to start opening and closing to get it to open. We're going to take that bowl and circle it around. So I almost imagine, like with the top of that pelvic bowl, I'm like scraping the insides of insert Nutella jar, jam jar, honey jar, whatever sounds the most delightful for you. And I don't want to miss any corners. So notice if you always skip that back corner behind you. Forward, side, back side, and all the spaces between, and then change directions. You could also visualize almost like you're sitting on a clock and you're trying to hit all of those numbers every hour. Circle, 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 circle. And then we'll come back to center. You can change how you're seated if you'd like, and you're always welcome to practice these positions seated in a chair. There's no rule that says you have to be sitting on the floor. Shift and adjust if you'd like. So notice your weight on the left sitting bone, notice your weight on the right sitting bone. Maybe notice your weight towards the front of your bone. And notice how the weight's distributed between those spaces. And then we'll bring the hands just to kind of where your bony rib cage, where you can feel your bony rib cage, so where your sternum ends. I'm just going to move my mic pack a little here. And from here and above, so from your shoulder blades and above, you're going to twist to the left, twist to the right. So I want you to start really small and gentle, almost like these little pulses. Left, right, left, right, left, right. You can be fast or slow. If you find that you get lightheaded at all, just leave your head in center and circle side to side. I almost imagine, I'll turn to face you, but I almost imagine like those top-loading washing machines, like the old school kind that I have, where the center part is nice and still and the laundry's just swash, swash, swashing around. So your seat isn't shifting left and right. Just the upper body. Swing, 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 and your head could follow if you want, but it's totally up to you. Now, prerequisite for this to feel and be beneficial is that your spine's in neutral. So if anything feels pinchy when you come to one side or the other, just pause and center and readjust your capacity to change the curvatures of your spine ever so slightly. So trust that you can feel, where's that little pinchy part? And how does that change if I bring it forward or bring it back or shift my whole body forward? So you're looking to find this sense that from the behind your neck all the way down to the tip of your tail feels the same, really, from top to bottom. Now, if you're still spinning, you could come to stop, holding like a baseball glove in a mitt, taking hold of those knees. Wait, a baseball in a glove. There you go. Taking hold of those knees or feet and breathing here. Metaphor has a lot of impact on our yoga practice, and I find my imagination does too. So with your imagination, visualize your collarbones moving slightly further apart from one another, left and right. And then I'm going to ask you to notice that the shoulders are resting down and back, which is different from saying roll your shoulders down and back. What I mean is that the arms are heavy, so the shoulders don't have to lift up. And the distance from here to here, like across the front, is the same as the distance across the back. Now, in a moment, we'll introduce that same mobilization of the upper back, exactly the same way if you'd like. Remember, you can always opt out or choose a different shape. You're welcome this time if you'd like to bring your hands to touch onto the shoulders. So here, the elbows are lifting, and if you can visualize those collarbones broadening, it almost broadens right out to the tip of our elbow. Notice your breath here and your neutral spine. So if one part of your back feels like it's straining more than the other, shift the shape. And then we'll inhale as you move left and exhale as you move right. So that means you have choice. You can try following your breath, or you can move and let the breath catch up to the movement. So give both a try, breathing in and out through your nose, collarbones broad, equal distance across the chest as across your back. Moving your head or keeping it still, but from the belly button, both legs are anchors to the ground. You could go slow, you could go fast, you could go not at all. Let's do this for just a few more moments. And then reconnect the palms to the knees or feet. Take a breath when it comes. After your exhale, maybe hold on the end of your exhale for just one extra moment. And then go ahead and let that shape go. So we're going to be moving a little bit more into those hip creases. And I'll invite you to come to lie on your back. I'm going to give you a couple of options as we come to our back. Excuse me for just one sec. So option number one, if you have your blocks, you can take your blocks. I'm just going to turn around and move a wee bit closer. You can take your blocks between the shoulder blades, and the bottom part is no lower than where your shoulder blade tips end. So it's like a third shoulder blade at whatever height you'd like. Without the blocks, we can do the exact same thing with a rolled blanket. So if we roll the blanket and set it right in the center, we can come to lie back. The bottom of the blanket is going to end right where the shoulder blade tips end, the base of the sternum, but on your back. And then your second blanket or your second block is going to be for behind your head at whatever height feels comfortable for you. So all of the props that we're putting behind us, you can choose which of the props you'd like to use. All of the props that we're putting behind us end where the shoulder blades end. So anywhere that you can feel bony ribs, that's on the floor. If you come to lie back on your block and it feels super pinchy, go ahead and switch it out for a blanket. If you come to lie back on your blanket and you find yourself flat on the floor, maybe add some height to that blanket. If it's available to you, create a little bit of space on either side. Excuse me, glasses. And feel free to shift and adjust as needed to come up, readjust, Don't settle for discomfort. And don't settle for a lack of sensation either. Just a very slight opening. So we don't want anything too intense. In my ideal version of this shape in my own body, my bony ribs, like from middle of my back all the way down, is flat to the floor. The part of the base of the blanket or block that's touching my body doesn't feel too sharp. I'm not having to brace myself against it. And my elbows can comfortably come to the floor. Now, it's absolutely your choice what you'd like to do with your legs. If you don't have any history of sciatica, it might feel nice to take the thighs to drop together and walk your feet out wider away from each other. Some people like to have the legs straight out on the ground or crossed. Try a few different shapes until you feel like you found the one. And then ever so gently, just rock your body side to side, almost like you're ironing out any little kinks that might have formed, any pinchiness. Get yourself settled in. Shift, adjust, and change as often as you need here. When you're ready, turn the palms to the ceiling. Try to have the elbows and the forearms on the floor. Sliding your forearms across the floor, almost like you're making a snow angel. Move the arms as high up as they'll go without losing contact. And once you get to that end place, imagine driving your heart down into the props behind you and lift both arms up like you're giving a little beach ball a hug. So your arms are kind of elbows bent in a round shape. As you come down slowly like a lever, the heart can lift back up to free the arms down to the floor. And then again, you're engaging the muscles along your chest. So drive your chest down towards the mat like you're bracing to bring the arms up. So there ought to be no tension in the neck here. And then release that slowly as you come down. And we'll do that just a couple more times. Make sure you're not going higher than when the elbows can stay connected to the floor. And the next time your arms are up, we're going to keep them up, interlace the fingers, press the palms up towards the ceiling. And with your hands in this racket shape, give a little pull as though you were going to pull the arms apart. Just a very slight pull. And then visualize the same spacious kind of pulling sensation happening at the shoulder blade level. If it feels comfortable for you, take this hammock that you've made and place it behind your head. You might need to lower the blanket that you have there. And for a breath or two, really let gravity open the elbows. Imagine in your mind that the elbows are moving away from one another as opposed to down to the floor. Now you're welcome to keep your hands in this shape, or if you prefer, you could have the hands down to the floor, on your body. Remember that you're always welcome to come out of this slight back bend and be flat on the floor instead. Taking a breath or two here. Hi, kitten. It's okay, I'm just gonna do my class, okay, Bubba? You wanna come and sit on me? Woof. Heel till the feet closer together. And then on an inhale, both of the legs are gonna move away from each other. And on an exhale, they're coming back towards each other. It's okay, sweetheart. So butterflying the legs away from each other and back towards each other. Away from each other, back towards each other. So as you move the legs away from each other, roll to the edges of the feet without letting the feet come in. And then out and back in. So as I move out, I'm really conscious that I'm not changing the shape of my spine or changing the shape of my back. So you know that you've gone too far if when you open your legs, your tail tilts up and your belly button lifts to the sky. So we're trying to move just the legs in the hip sockets, out and back in. out and back in. Remember, you can move your arms however you want. If it's not working out for you to be in the back bend, skip it. If you're really loving the heart opener and not so much the legs, skip that part. Build your own yoga. We're gonna do this for a couple more breaths. And then bring your knees back to center and heel toe your feet a little wider apart from each other, like pretty wide, I'd say. So now we're gonna drop your left thigh over to the left, your right thigh down to the floor, so also to the left, without lifting your left butt. So you're only going so far that you're still making contact on the right side. And then come back to center. We'll do the same on the other side. So both legs move right. Keep connected on the left side. Both legs move left. Keep connected on the right. So adjust your feet. Bring them further away from your body. Bring them closer to your body. Bring them closer to each other, further away from each other. And go as fast or as slow as you'd like. We're going to do this for just a couple more rounds. You can move with your breath or at whatever speed your body's craving. And then bringing both legs back towards center. So you're going to end up right where you started on your back. Let the arms come out from the position that they're in. So the hands are back down to the floor if they were anywhere else. Take a breath or two and imagine like gravity's just increased underneath you. Staying connected to your props, we're going to roll the whole body over to one side, and you can use one of your arms like a little pillow underneath your head if you'd like, and just rest for a breath or two here on the side. Really send your breath into the back of your body. And then as you feel a little more equal front to back, let's come all the way back towards seated and find yourself sitting in the same position you started in. So sit right up onto those blankets or the chair. Set yourself up similarly to how you started. But of course, if that doesn't serve you anymore, you could have your legs differently. You could sit on a lower or a higher prop. I always find it really beneficial to have my hips a little higher than my knees when I'm coming to sit, whether it's here or at my desk. And for a moment, I'd like for you to notice the breath that you're breathing right now, which is challenging to do because as soon as I mention it, it'll change. As best you can, notice. And then bring your hands wherever you're feeling your breath. That might be the same as where I'm feeling my breath. It might be different. You could have hands in two different places. We only have two hands, so that's the best you can do. And I'm gonna guide the hands to different places on the body with the intention of sending breath under those spaces as well. So let's start with the side ribs. So if you feel for the bony parts of your ribs, if your hands are already there, you could just keep them there. Placing the hands along the waist here. And as you breathe, feeling this inflation happening left and right, expanding sideways. And then leave your thumbs where they are. flip your fingers. So imagine like you're trying to put your hands into jean pockets, but you're going to keep the hands high, like where you can feel the ribs still. And notice underneath the hands now if you can feel the rise and the fall. And again, if you can't, bring your imagination to that space and envision that spaciousness as you inhale, that release as you exhale. So now we're breathing out to the sides and into the back. Now bring one hand pretty low on your belly. Really imagine you could bring the breath as low as you can sense on your front body. And then anchor up near your clavicle. And see if you can breathe. I can't put my hand there because you won't hear me, but see if you can breathe that whole front line so that it's like your whole body and the front of your body is rising and falling. And then starting those small pulses with the body forward and back, right at those hip creases, just as we did at the beginning. Maybe you're moving with this breath. Maybe you're moving at a different pace. From those hip creases, forward and back. So your pelvis is spilling that water forward and spilling that water back. It's different than rocking your body forward and back. And it's different than cat and cow, where a lot of the energy is in the center of your body. Really keep it rooted. Almost like the only thing that's moving is your tailbone and your hip creases at the front of your body. Back, forward, back, forward, and then big circle around. Really test the boundaries of potential here for where you can reach. Maybe a couple times one way, a couple times the other, visualizing that clock face underneath you that you're sitting on, hitting all of the hours on that clock. And then coming back towards center. And lastly, I'd like you to imagine like your torso is between two waterfalls. We're going to open up the side body a little bit. So my right and my left sitting bones are plugged into the floor like outlets into a socket. And as I inhale, I'm going to bring my right arm out to the side so it's level with my shoulder. And as I exhale, I can keep it level with my shoulder and really reach that whole right side away from the groundedness, well, the whole left side away from the groundedness of the left hip. So I'm going to ground my left hip so that as I lean over and bend my right arm, I'm getting further and further from that point of origin. You could even let that top arm drape or reach rather over your head, still between those two waterfalls. Be conscious that the arm doesn't hang, but it's full of energy reaching over to the right. The head is full of energy, looking out, almost as though there's a little line of your heart lifting upwards, keeping you pointed in the direction of joy. Breathe into the sides of your body and see if you can equalize the space on the right with the space on the left. So don't sacrifice any space that's available on the right to find space on the left. Keep yourself between those two waterfalls and we'll come all the way back up. And pause for a moment and center here. Notice the difference between your two sides. Relish in the fruits of your labor. And I'll invite you, if your legs are crossed, to switch the cross of your legs so the other one goes in front, to keep your brain alert and awake. We'll find the same thing on the other side. It might feel a little funny, and that's okay, as long as there's no pain. We're between two waterfalls. We're going to bring the right arm parallel to the shoulder, so its hand is in the same line as the shoulder. And it's going to stay there as my left arm reaches out and then starts to bend. So it does, my right arm moves, but only because my body is moving up. as I'm leaning here, I can reach those collarbones away from each other. I can lift my heart to joy, to point to joy. I can find space on the left and the right sides of my body, energy through my arms, energy through my neck, maybe reaching overhead if you'd like to bring this stretch a little further up your body. There's so much that can be done in this one pose. We could stay in one yoga pose for a whole class and always be learning from it if we're connected and mindful. So let's stay between those waterfalls and come all the way back. And now's the part of your practice that I want to invite you to move however your body's craving. If you're craving stillness, you can move towards stillness. If you're craving some movement, finding movement. Maybe you're doing a stretch that your physiotherapist or your other movement practitioners have said might be beneficial for you. Maybe you're doing a yoga pose that we practiced together in another class or earlier today. It's always beneficial for you to insert as much of yourself in the practice as possible. So here's my open invitation for you to move however your body's craving for just a few moments before we close our practice together. And after you feel fulfilled in that practice, I'll invite you to find your way to any pose that feels restful for you. So that could be a yoga pose, could be seated, lying on your side, your back, your belly. Because you're in your own spaces, you could have a space that feels comfortable for you, your favorite chair, or your favorite spot on the couch. So let our first invitation here be towards physical comfort and as much of it as you can find. So if you're feeling chilled, covering with socks or a blanket. If you're craving some fresh air, looking out of a window or opening the window or finding yourself outside. Once you do find yourself in that pose, then I'll invite you to meet yourself there so that your mind and body have a true experience of what's happening in the present moment. Sometimes our perception of what a shape might feel like is different than our actual experience. So if that's what's happening for you right now, then I'll invite you to shift your position or change your position to feel free to continue to evolve as we rest. For the next few moments, I'll leave you in silence. I found a beautiful reading earlier that I screenshotted on my phone from Instagram that I'm going to read to you to bring you out of this pose. So allow for yourself to cycle through the process of resting, feeling easy, and then becoming distracted or uncomfortable or falling towards sleep, and then refocusing and cycling through this process over and over again with your breath until you hear my voice again. So I don't have a reference for this except that I saw it posted at Afterglow Studio. Yoga's job is to show you what's actually happening, not what the mind thinks is happening or wants to happen. Yoga exposes truth. It allows the stories buried deep within the body to emerge out of the tension you've released and into the open spaces you've created. But here's the thing: only if you are open to receiving them. And that's the most difficult part. So I'll invite you now to allow movements that your body might be craving. Breathe into every corner of yourself and change the shape that you're in. Maybe roll to one side, maybe come up to seated. Once you're there, take a moment to feel grounded in the space. And then come all the way back up to seated once again where we started. Making a full cycle and bookending your practice. Once you're there, I'll invite you to bring your hands wherever they're comfortable on your body, if you'd rather together or on your heart. And for a moment, you can join me in giving gratitude to the original keepers of the land that we're practicing on, to the ancestral roots of yoga and the lineage that practiced before us. Giving gratitude outwards to the people who shared the space with you. And finally, giving gratitude to yourself for having taken the leap and come to your practice. Sometimes the hardest part of the practice is simply showing up. And I'd like to extend my gratitude to all of you for being here this evening with me. You're more than welcome to join me again next week. I'm also here on Sunday morning or Wednesday for midday meditation. So you're welcome to stick around and ask any questions or comments, or just say hi. I'll be around for the next few minutes. And otherwise, thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.